Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hi guys, myself and Sean are back. If you haven't been watching the series, this is Sean from Outlaw Miniatures, one of the masterminds behind Wild West Exodus.
Whoa, dangerous masterminds.
Evil genius level right here, because of some of the stuff you've created in this. Right.
Oh my.
What we're going to have a look at today is the heavy support and light support options that you have, because so far we've been really having a good look at the infantry, the characters and what they can do.
Yep.
But I want some heavy metal right now.
Yep.
You know.
We've talked a little bit about some of the heavy and light support. We've seen some Iron Horses. We've seen the Doomsday.
Yeah.
It's definitely showed up in some of the stuff, but there's a little bit different stuff we got going on with them. So let's talk a little bit about that. We'll start with the Iron Horses.
Okay, so these would be our Iron Horses here. These are the jet bikes, the Wild West jet bikes, and the Outlaws, for some reason, got cow heads to them with big horns.
Big old cow heads on the front.
Yeah.
You know, you got that cool sort of... You know, those crazy weapons on the side, got all these pouches ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, he's set. He's ready for the long haul.
Oh yeah. This looks like someone who's ready to just hit the trail and rustle up some cattle. Or does anyone even eat cows these days?
There's probably just boxes of meat that just
so
like randomly
boxes
spring meat
of suspicious meat.
Suspicious meat. What's really awesome about the Iron Horses is not only are they here in the game, you know, in the background, they play a big part too. Because in this world, things have definitely changed a lot. And these Iron Horses are like the transportation device to have. Yeah. If you don't have this, you're like a schmuck.
You're a schmuck. We've actually got an Americanism on the show. Excellent. So basically, you are the low guy who can't afford crap.
Like we have, you know, in the world, there's something called a black hoof. Okay. And that is it's just a horse that is mechanical. It's a fully robotic horse, and that's what the poor people use.
So hang on. I can have a really cool jet bike, be skimming around the Wild West, or if I'm just some poor little guy, I have to take a mechanical horse and just be plodding along.
Yep.
Aw.
So let's look at the card for the Iron Horses. It's a little bit different than some of the other stuff because you'll see up here, not only does it have a base cost, it also has this armory and this total up here.
So like, $65, I'm guessing that's it. No weapons, no nothing.
So that is just with a little rifle on his back, and that's it. Nothing.
And can I take him like that?
You can. You can if you'd like to.
So if I want some super cheap rifles just to be zimming around the board,
exactly,
you can have them for that. Cool.
Maybe if you want to go grab objectives and hold on to those that way, like you can have a guy that just does that.
Cool.
You know, we won't go over too many of the other stats because very similar to anybody else. Just unique for them as far as what they actually are. But then we have these weapons down here, and there's 4 different weapon boxes with a little white box next to it. So you've got the cav rifle, that's the base one, Gatling gun, mini cannons, rocket pods. So basically what you do on the card is you just click whichever one you want. Yeah. You look on the back. On the back you have something that's called the armory.
I see.
The armory will tell you how many points that you need to pay for whatever you're choosing. You write that in the armory box on the front, and then give yourself a total. That way you know when you're building your list how many you have, and then your opponent can check that card and be like, oh, you got rocket pods on this guy. Yeah. And then you can also say,
I'll assume they all come with the cavalry rifle as standard, or whenever I buy other stuff, does it disappear?
So you replace the cavalry rifle with whatever you're getting.
Okay, cool.
But the base guy just comes with the cavalry rifle. Yeah. So 65, and you got it. Yeah. Anything more, and then now you've got that instead. Okay. You're manning the guns instead of...
pulling out that having a rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, well, the one that really interests me is this. This is the Doomsday. I think this is pretty much the biggest miniature you do, or do you do bigger than this?
We do some bigger than that. We have the giant heavy rail train.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a little bit more of a scenario piece, cool thing for playing the game. You can't just take that as part of your list, but You can definitely, there's some scenarios where it can be part of your list, or that both sides are fighting over it. I mean, this is one of our bigger heavy supports.
Yeah, this thing is a monster.
It's a beast, and it's all resin, so you pick it up and it's like 7-8 pounds of resin, honking thing.
Yeah.
But let's go over their cards a little bit, because they are different.
Okay. The first thing that jumps out at me here, $225, so reasonably dear, but its damage grid is a little different. So how does that work?
Yep. So when you actually damage this this model right here, you also roll a d10 to say where it goes.
Right.
So if you see on here, a power source is a 1. So if you roll a 1 on that d10, it's going to go to the power source.
Yeah.
If you roll a 2 or 3, it goes to the weapons.
Okay.
And then if you roll anything above that 3, so 4 and above, it goes to propulsion. And then as different grids go out, it starts to cycle around.
Okay, so say I had completely filled out, well, obviously propulsion.
Okay, so propulsion's going to go out.
That's the most likely thing I'm going to knock out first.
And then it's going to go to weapons.
Say I'm now overboosting into the next grid. Going to weapons then?
Yep, so go to weapons.
Okay.
And then once both of those are filled, then it goes into power sources, the overflow.
Okay,
so
right.
Power source is kind of like the last thing to fill up most of the time, because you do need a 1.
Okay.
But then after both the others are filled, then it'll go into the power source.
Okay, so if I take out propulsion, it then bleeds through the weapons. What if I take out the weapons first?
It'll go to propulsion.
Okay, so we're not going to the power source until both of those. So one will bleed into the other.
Yep.
Until they're both gone, and then we're bleeding into the power. Okay, cool.
Because the power source starts to reduce the action points of it.
Right.
So that is kind of like the key thing there.
Yeah.
Weapons, it's going to pull. It's going to take away the ability of the weapons.
Yeah.
And then propulsion is going to take away its movement.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Right. Quick question then: do we have any weapons or any snipers who are such a good shot, they can maybe just instantly do 1 point to that power source?
So what we've done is there are some in the pipeline that are going to be a little bit more like very specific at damaging the vehicle. More than likely, it'll still be somewhat randomized at what part of the grid, but still it will be able to like tink in damage onto a heavy support regardless of what the armor of that heavy support is.
Yeah, so basically he knows where the gears and stuff are. He knows where to shoot to actually just do a little bit and just start biting it down.
Exactly.
Cool.
The other thing that you'll notice is that it has a reduced stat bar. So it only has quickness, action points, marksmanship, and armor.
Yep.
Got a lot of stuff cut off of there. It doesn't take courage tests.
Doesn't take courage tests. Doesn't have a physical ability.
Nope.
I'm guessing it doesn't need courage and it doesn't need a pphysical ability because the crew inside there are just going, I'm inside an armored box. What's really going to get me here?
Yeah, and they're not going to climb up a building. So, you're just not going to see that. They can slam through a bit of terrain too. So,
Whoa, hang on, they can ram through buildings maybe?
So there's some ability to ram through buildings. We have optional destructible terrain rules and things like that you can use.
We'll have to have a closer look at that maybe.
If you really want to get into cinematics, right? You could set up a situation where you got this bank. You want your outlaws to rob the bank, so they slam one of their big tanks in the back of the bank, knock out the back wall, throw the gold in, and get away. And the scenario is you as the Union trying to stop these guys getting away with the gold after ramming into the bank.
Got it. We've actually had that happen over here a couple of times. I think recently someone actually tried to, we call it ram raiding.
Okay.
Someone tried to ram raid an ATM.
Oh my goodness.
With a lorry. Didn't have a winch, didn't have a trailer. They just rammed into this ATM, tried to tie it on with a couple of chains, and tried to drag it away. Needless to say, they failed.
Did not work.
Did not work.
Most of these banks are still just like
a little
bit of wood, maybe a little bit of brick.
Yeah, so, maybe an iron cage around it, but
so
something
those
like
Gatling
that
guns and a big old.
Oh yeah. Even that
there.
big ram scoop on the front, you ram in, you're gonna make a big enough hole to get it out of the way.
And speaking of rams, this is where the ram weapon comes in too.
Okay.
So heavy support have a unique rule. There's a couple light support that have it as well, but it allows you to basically just barrel on down the battlefield.
Oh.
And anybody in your way can take damage. So
let's say we had him just barreling across here. Say this was Outlaws, and I had a lot of Enlightened sitting out here on the road. So he could just barrel through these 3 little reanimated guys and possibly squish them.
And they have a chance to get out of the way. If they don't get out of the way, what's going to happen is the inches moved plus the power of that ram weapon.
Okay.
So here on the card, you see it's a power 9 base. So it's inches moved plus that power 9 to say what the power of that guy is going to take.
So if I've got a full move on this by the time I hit the last guy, it's power 15.
Yep. So if you've moved all the way, well, even further, because you have to spend 2 action points through him. You got to go real
you
far.
have to go full bore.
Yeah, you got to go.
So
you got to go full bore. So at the end of it,
21.
Yeah. So the guy at the very end would hit a 21.
So if Dr. Carpathian's sitting right at the back with his little button ready to blow these guys up.
21.
Hello, Dr. Carpathian. Squit.
So
that I can live with.
Yep. That is how the ram actions start to work. You have even some heavy support that have even cooler ram stuff that they can do. So the Great Elk has additional damage that he does on ram attacks, and makes it more difficult for people to get out of his way.
Right. So I'm guessing this is just a big set of antlers or something.
Big set of antlers with some big hooves on the front and ready to cause some damage.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Right. Is that all we have to say about vehicles, or is there even more to show off?
So yeah, I think that's pretty good for vehicles right now.
Okay. Right.
Maybe in the backstage we'll cover a little bit more about some of the ride-by attacks and some of the other stuff that the light support can do.
Hang on. The words ride-by attacks, drive-bys in the Wild West, guys. Right, myself and Sean are going to move on to backstage here. We're going to have another chat about some of the other cool stuff that vehicles can do. Right, we've done a full XLBS series for this show, so if you want, come across to beastofwar.com, join up to backstage, and you can essentially double the content that you've been getting for this series. So guys, myself and Sean are going to move on. We'll see you in backstage.
Take care.
Point, yes?
Yep, this is on the first action point. We want to make sure that he's within that half-inch halo. Yep, he's there. And then we're continuing. He's there.
Yep.
And then we know that we're going to get this and this.
Yeah.
And the way that this ride-by attack works is that he gets to make these attacks, and these guys don't get to make strike backs. They don't get to do
it's just him quickly zipping past with his fist out, just going bonk,
bomb. And then, you know, just like anything else, you would roll the to hit against that guy.
Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game. Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastofwar.com.